Good morning to you. I am Mark Sudduth, and here's what's up in the tropics for Tuesday, the 30th of August, 2022. We do have a couple of areas to monitor out here in the Atlantic. The area in red is of most interest to us right now. I'll explain as we move along, and of course in more detail in my Hurricane Outlook and Discussion video later this afternoon. Meanwhile, the Eastern Pacific trying to come back to life again. A couple of areas to monitor here. And yes, we're going to need to watch both of these systems for some potential impacts for our friends in Mexico. All right, looking at the satellite animation, we're going to really focus in mainly on 91L out here, still pretty stretched out. Two different blobs, if you will, of deep thunderstorms or convection. It is not starting to consolidate too much just yet, but the computer models are still insisting that it'll eventually do so somewhere north of the islands, the northeast part of the Caribbean Sea, over the coming days. And then this is the area off the coast of Africa, very discombobulated, not much organization with that feature at all. The rest of the Atlantic Basin generally quiet, scattered convection here and there, but nothing that seems to be coming together to develop anytime soon. Looking at the vorticity signature, there it is, 91L, stretched out. It is not very well concentrated just yet. Which part of this eventually goes on to develop, assuming that it does so, is going to be very critical to the eventual track of this system. Most of the guidance is indicating that this part right here, the northeast part of the vorticity, is going to be the one that takes over, and then that will track off to the northwest, bending back to the west-northwest with time before eventually turning out into the open Atlantic, maybe getting close enough to Bermuda to warrant concern for direct impacts. We'll have to just see about that in the coming days. And we can see that here on the GFS. This is a 6Z run going out to about the next 5 days. There's 91L coming in to the frame there. And yes, it's that northeast part of the vorticity signature that seems to take over. But if it turns out that it's the southwestern portion, then this could end up being different overall. We'll just wait and see. We don't even have a low-level center yet. It has not developed, and so all of this is just speculation until something, in fact, does develop, if it happens at all. Meanwhile, in the southeastern Pacific, you can see that one system trying to get going, and you notice, no, nothing in the Gulf of Mexico or the Northwest Caribbean Sea. Some kind of a flaw in the GFS was showing that. We talked about that. I'll address it more in the Hurricane Outlook and Discussion video later today. All right, so real quick, a look here from this tweet from Ben Knoll, looking at the overnight ECMWF ensemble tracks. I mean, a vast majority of everything curves this away from the United States, keeping it well north of the islands, and potentially, though, an impact possible, direct impacts that would be for Bermuda. We will watch that. That's still at least a week away, and that's a long time. Things can change, so we'll see how that pans out over the coming days. And later this afternoon, we'll talk about this typhoon that I have no idea how to pronounce the name of. Way out in the western Pacific, a super typhoon, I do believe it is. If it's not, it certainly soon will be. I mean, look at that. That is what a well-developed tropical cyclone looks like, in case we have forgotten. Right now, over the open Pacific, the western Pacific, but it could threaten parts of the southern islands of Japan in the coming days. I'll look at that and a lot more in my Hurricane Outlook and Discussion. Yes, I've mentioned it a few times, but just reminding you, it's going to be there. I wasn't able to do it yesterday as I was traveling back home from the failed rocket launch of Artemis 1. A bummer that couldn't happen, but I gave it a shot. Maybe they get to send it off on Friday. We shall see. But yeah, I'm back, and we'll have the Hurricane Outlook and Discussion later today. As always, thanks for tuning in to What's Up in the Tropics. I do appreciate your time and attention. I'll be back with more for you later this afternoon.